It is nice to have the newest toy on the street. I'd lie to tell you otherwise. It's big and shiny and bright and works really well, and, well, I just got a whale of a big kick out of it.
The first Boeing 777s operated by United were running 99% dispatch reliability, which is just unheard of.
This airplane's smart enough to tell you if you have a light bulb burned out and a no smoking sign in the back. It'll tell you what seat and what row.
We were making this paradigm shift to go 100% digital on the 77 program. We wanted to make sure it was going to work.
I think for the ride it would be a Rolls Royce with perhaps a performance maybe of a Porsche.
This is the world's newest and most sophisticated jetliner, the Boeing 777. Even though this airship looks pretty much like all others, in many ways it represents a monumental shift in the way airplanes are designed and built. Hoping that this plane will come to dominate the next several decades, Boeing has dubbed it the 21st Century Airliner. For now, the 777 is a plane only the Top Guns fly. At American Airlines, Captains James Galt and Paul Hinton have 70 years of experience between them. Both flew in the Vietnam War, and they're charged with showing Americans' other pilots how this new bird flies.
My romance in flying actually began when I entered the Air Force back in 1963.
On my very first ride in the Air Force, the instructor took me up and turned me upside down in the airplane, and we did a loop. And at the conclusion of the loop, I said, I think I'd like to try this again.
Today, pilots Galt and Hinton will fly American Airlines Flight 78 from Dallas-Fort Worth to London. At the gate, 300 passengers wait to board.
Heard that this particular plane is supposed to be more spacious and will take that flight much quicker than what it normally would.
When I requested, it's for a business trip, I requested my company to book a 777.
A state-of-the-art, fuel efficient, carries more passengers, greater comfort in the coach, business, and first class.
Hi, Jim Gold. Nice to meet you.
Though seemingly a maze of instruments, panels, and controls, the 777's cockpit is more efficient and less complicated than that of its predecessor, the Boeing 767.
Indicator lights.
Get the proper light enunciation throughout the cockpit, and then I'll refer to the checklist and see what I missed. That looks good, that looks good.
I started out in aviation, we had to do a blindfold cockpit check. We would have to sit in the cockpit with a blindfold around us while an instructor would say, put your hand on the altimeter, put your hand on the throttle.
Check-in is still hands-on for Captain Galt, but truly the 777 can fly itself. In fact, the throttle and stick are not connected by cable directly to the tail and wings, but to a computer, which in turn electronically forwards the pilot's directions to the mechanical parts.
Okay, we pretty well got this thing set up now. We can go downstairs and do our walk-around.
Though the maintenance chief has signed off, Captain Galt makes his own walk-around inspection. It's a throwback to the pioneering days of aviation, when a little bit of leaking oil or water meant the plane might not get off the ground.
Just looking at the engine, making sure there's no runs, no drips, no errors. We look at the
We got her.
Got 3 signatures on it, today's date, good to go.
All right, thank you kindly, appreciate it.
This $100 million flying machine has 3 million parts, all of which must work in perfect harmony. The 777's wings have an area of 570 square yards and span 200 feet, 40 feet longer than the Wright brothers' first flight.
Okay, what we're looking at in here now, we've got 6 wheels. We want to check the conditions of the tires. We want to make sure that we have enough brake wear. They go from being stationary to 150 miles per hour in the blink of an eye. And here's an example of a touchdown on the tire tread. You can see a little bit of a scuff. That's where this particular wheel touched the runway. You can see they're pretty tough, and they don't do a great deal of damage to the tires at all under normal circumstances.
While Jim looks at the outside, the Central Maintenance Function, or CMF, is examining the inside. This powerful onboard computer checks virtually every system, flagging any problem almost as it occurs.
I love it. I'm a big Star Trek fan, so this is as close as I can get right now. But this airplane tells us everything we need to know. This airplane's smart enough to tell you if you have a light bulb burned out and a no smoking sign in the back.
The brain of the 777 is located under the flight deck. It is called the Aircraft Information Management System, or AIMS. One central box, actually two, either of which can fly the plane in case the other is somehow damaged, has the ability to control flight, cockpit displays, monitor plane and engine functioning, and a host of other tasks. But as sophisticated as the 777's AIM system is, on this airplane, the pilot remains in charge.
I can't accept that because that's not what I want, so I reject it. I take the CG off, I put that in there, and I check the speed. I do it myself.
Blind faith in computers can lull a pilot into complacency. It's one of the lessons Hinton and Galt are trying to pass on to the younger pilots. At the core of Paul's concern is safety. The 777 is not the first jet to run on a computerized master system. The Airbus, made by the British and French, originally had a computer system that had the final say on what the aircraft could or could not do. However, an airshow demonstration quickly revealed a fatal flaw. As the test pilot made a low pass, the computer locked up his controls.
Oh yeah! So Boeing says we can't build a computer that will cover all eventualities, and therefore we have to let the pilot get into the airplane and fly it.
We're flying once again with Paul Hinton, Jim Galt, and Doug Josfo. Our flying time today will be 8 hours and 43 minutes at an altitude of 37,000 feet.
Chief Purser Patricia Grace, a 30-year veteran of American Airlines, is conducting her pre-flight briefing for the 14 flight attendants working this trip.
Number 12, Himania. Number 3, Faye, you will be doing the directing at the forward entry door. And one parting word for our briefing today, keep in mind that a great attitude always precedes a great performance. Let's have a great day.
Getting ready for 300 guests is a mad scramble. To make money, all passenger planes must fly as often as possible. The turnarounds from one international flight to another can be as little as 1 hour. It takes an army of 40 people to get the 777 ready for today's transoceanic flight. The 777's soaring wings hold 44,000 gallons of jet fuel. Since the 777 is made of lightweight composites and alloys, it is 1/3 more fuel efficient than the 747, but has the same range, 8,400 miles, or the distance from Florida to Hong Kong. Because of its circular shape, the 777 has enormous below-deck cargo capability, which is even more than a 747 in terms of weight. Semicircular containers slide in with only millimeters to spare. Normally, the plane transports about 30 tons of freight, or the equivalent of 15 automobiles.
Everything has a weight. Everything has to be accounted for. If it doesn't make it, they need to know why it doesn't make it.
AIMS, the same computer that flies the 777, tracks freight coming on board. It monitors each container's weight, its contents, and position to ensure nothing is left behind and the plane is balanced.
First two being the front.
Catering trucks bring 300 full meals, 600 snacks, 500 drinks, and 500 bottles of liquor to supply the 3 galleys on board.
This one coming from somewhere? Tokyo. No, man. No. It came from Denver. What are you
A coat hanger? A coat hanger.
For flight attendant Susan Hans, this trip will be her first on the 777.
Here, get it here. I'll put it behind.
Susan is a galley specialist, and she's getting the coach galley ready to serve 163 passengers, though she's never seen this setup before.
Do you have any idea where everything is?
Not yet, but I'll find it in short order.
The first-class galley will only serve 20 people, but also takes getting used to.
I have never done this before. This is terrible.
What happened?
The oven rack pulled completely out because it wasn't the same width as the oven. So, let me get the caterer back here.
You lost some shrimp scampi there.
Well, I was going to put it together, actually.
We have 13 VCR units that you see over here. This is called our PAT, our Primary Access Terminal Control Center. All of the programming from our videos is done from this particular PAT.
The 777's in-flight entertainment system has 250,000 lines of dedicated software code and is as sophisticated as